Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome and welcome back to our channel. I am Woven if you're new to this channel. And if you're returning, I really appreciate you for just making time and joining us today. So, on this channel, I said as much as we're going to have entertainment and fun together, we're going to learn and we're going to grow together. So, that's through our finance segment. Now, was it the last video? I did indicate that I'm going to try and bring more value out of our channel. So I'm getting quite a bit of requests on mentorship, financial mentorship, career advice, and I do not have the capacity to take on more people. So what we are going to do is we're going to do the mentoring through our channel where we can. And this is going to be through sharing experiences and just trying to share nuggets, points on navigating finances and career, especially. Now, in terms of career, I need assistance in terms of different career groups that I can actually make reference to. But what's very important is maintaining the confidentiality. So please share in terms of email, what we look at, just so that one is able then to gauge in terms of, is this the career I want to be in? What are the qualifications I need? What are my earning expectations and the likes? Please share your payslip with me. You can blur out your names, but this is really just to share and to give people an understanding or an overview of the various industries. So I did get finance and mining. Also got a civil servant now. Thank you very much. So I will be sharing that to just give you an idea. But on today's topic is I am always broke. So I received an inbox here and we're going to read it together. It says, "Good evening. Would you mind giving me some tips on how to save money?" I've actually done that quite a bit, but on how to save money, my dear, I'm a whole broke teacher. At first, I was fine. Even my first car, I have bought in cash. Wow, that takes a lot of discipline. From there, Oppo, I'm really struggling. I'm always withdrawing money from my 32-day savings account. Please help us, sister. Maybe you have a better way of doing it. Guys, I always really appreciate when you guys are vulnerable with me to just share this so that we can walk the journey together. So let's do just a bit of an analysis on what she's saying here. And put this down, right? I think there is a couple of wins in the midst of all the chaos. Number one, you have a job, which is quite secure because you're a teacher. Number two, you've managed to buy a car cash, and that requires discipline. It means at some point you actually were saving, right? And you managed to save to be able to buy your car cash. Number three, you're looking for help, you're seeking help, and you want to just do better in terms of financial decisions. And number four, you still at least have a 32 days account. That means you're putting money somewhere, right? Now, obviously, on the downside is for one or other reason, you're always broke, although you have this, you know, government is one of the safest employers, right? In terms of job security. In terms of security, you are fine. You do have your earnings, but for one or other reason, you're always broke, right? And you just want a better way of doing it. And perhaps you're not a teacher and you're finding yourself in a similar situation. Hopefully, you'll be able to relate to this. Again, it's not advice, it's not financial advice. If you need financial advice, please contact a registered financial advisor with Namfisa. Okay, so now that we have analyzed your situation, there's some wins we're acknowledging, but there's, just some fallbacks that we actually need to address. So, first things first, it's very important if you're going to develop a healthy relationship with your finances, it's important to live below your means. And you've heard this 1,000 times, I'm sure. It's very, very important to live below your means. And when we say means, we're looking at your disposable income. We're looking at your net income and not your gross income. Because net income is after your pension, after your taxes have been taken out. This is actually money at your disposal, either on a monthly or an annual basis. But really, when we say live below your means, it's just to spend less than you are earning. That's very important. And it's across the board. It doesn't matter whether you earn 100,000, whether you're 25, whether at 9K, as crucial if you're going to develop that healthy relationship with money, to spend less than you earn. Number three, we need to track, right? Full view of your expenses. So what you need to do is take your bank statement, last 3 months. You can go back as far as 6 months, right? And again, the habits that got you into this position are not going to get you out. So we do need to do some work, some discipline. So take your bank statements, as much as it might be a daunting task. Take the bank statement and write down exactly what you have been spending on. And this you don't need to write on a piece of paper, but rather maybe on an Excel. And you track your spending. You'll be able to see very quickly what the culprits are. So what you spend on clothes, what you spend on food, write it all down. And once you see, or once you have full view of that, you then be able to see that this is my income and this is exactly where I need to put a pedal on, right? So that's the third thing. And then number four, in terms of our earnings, there's actually three big expenses that most of our earnings or our income go to on a monthly basis. So it's very important to master and get these three expenses right, right? Those three expenses are mainly our rent or housing, our transport, either cab or car payments, and then our groceries. So it's very crucial to get these three expenses right, right? And what do I mean by that? For example, your housing. General guidance is to say you shouldn't be spending more than one third of your income on housing or rent. So you shouldn't be spending more than 30% of your income on rent. So in this instance, you said you're taking home 25,000, right? So that means that you should not be spending, or ideally, the most you should be spending is 30% or one third of your income. That means that if you're earning 25,000, then the most you should be spending on housing or rent is 7,500. Guys, this is a concept I live by. Peace of mind, whether it was renting, whether when I bought properties, at no point should my house rent cost more than one third. Till this day, this is something I live by, right? And obviously, within this economy, sometimes it might be hard to find a property or rental that you're paying 7.5. I have shared ways in which you can actually reduce your rental expenses, i.e., you can move to a much more affordable suburb or place, obviously not jeopardizing your safety. You can move to, or you can share in terms of rental. If it's a house, you can rent out one of your rooms, or you can Airbnb, right? But try to maintain that one third or 30% and not more when it comes to your housing. That's number one. Number two is then on your car. Again, I see a lot of the young people, really, I think we're looking at our peers, and because Woven drives a BMW, you now also want to drive the BMW because you guys went to the same university, you did the same course, you're more or less in the same career line. So how is it that she can drive a BM? And what's very important when it comes to transportation is just your car must be affordable and it must be reliable, right? A reliable car is what you need, because what a car parks in your parking lot if you're an 8 to 5 for most of the time. So make sure that you're spending a reasonable amount, but you're not overextending yourself when it comes to a car, right? So if you look at a car, a house, and then groceries. Now, groceries become a bit tricky because we need to eat, right? But we can also be smart in terms of how you do your grocery shopping, right? Instead of going to a high-end store to buy your groceries, because again, your peers are buying from the black and white store, you want to do the same, but you can actually shop smart, right? Macaroni is macaroni, rice, cooking oil. You can go to ShopRite and buy your groceries there. And then the other thing is, don't waste food. Avoid wasting food. When you buy perishables, you buy groceries, like especially with fruits and vegetables, those a week and they can perish. What you tend to do is you want to buy groceries for the whole month. And then what would end up happening is some of the food is going to waste because it's expired or rotten. Don't do that. Don't waste food. Okay. Rather, especially with your greens, buy on a weekly basis if you can. And then the other one is in terms of just food, minimize your eating out, right? And sometimes we regard eating out as sitting at an Olivia's Kitchen or at a Stellenbosch, but sometimes it's just when you're at work every day you're buying at Oma, or you're buying food. Avoid that. Minimize and cook at home. But just what's very important is minimize on what you spend on groceries by just making this smart choices, right? So already, can you see, just by those small adjustments, making sure that you get your rent or housing right? Because you're probably what, if you find yourself renting alone in CBD, that's going about 10, 12,000 just on rental income. I mean, on rental expenses. And that is something you can quickly cut down on. Okay, so now we have gotten the three main expenses, those three, the housing, your transport, and food. But you also need to focus on reducing your other needs expenses. For example, your insurance, your bills and utilities, your other essential subscriptions, necessities like your phone bill. You don't necessarily need the latest phone, right? And on top of that, you don't need a contract. Nowadays, our service providers have various packages where what away 60 for a whole week. You don't need a contract for that. And then if you look at your insurance, shop around, right? If you've been with your insurance provider for what, 5 years, and your life cover or whatever the insurance you have costs you about 2,000, you can always shop around and see, can I get this same or similar insurance at a more affordable price? And you'll be surprised. In the market, there's usually, because they bring out all these new products, there's usually someone or a provider that could actually get you a reduced premium. It's the same for your car. Shop around, right? You're not tied down to that. And then when it comes to bills and utilities, this is something I do religiously, especially when it comes to water. There's leakages in your house. There's Study your water bill from the municipality, guys. I study my water bill rates and taxes religiously. And over again, I have managed to find, they call it an interim payment or some sort, where you now owe. And I would always ask the municipality, what does this pertain to? They'll tell you, no, it's because there wasn't a meter reading or water reading. If we get that reading, we'll be able to shave it down, right? For example, where we are, our water is around what, 500 at most. So I know very well if it goes above that, there's something. I mean, rates and taxes is something else. But I have managed to, maybe on three different occasions, that interim payment of about 1,000 something, and I've queried it and study those things and make sure that you're not paying more than what you're supposed to be paying. So minimize on your other needs expenses, subscriptions. Netflix, it's an example because it's a streaming service that all of us use. But you might find yourself that you are now on multiple subscriptions of certain streaming platforms that you don't even use. Cut down on those, right? So it's very important to minimize these expenses to just ensure that you're living below your means. Now, we have spoken a lot about cutting down disciplines and once you have really figured out that part, my lady, and I'm specifically speaking to you because every month you do have that guaranteed income, at least because you're a teacher. And I have spoken about job security. And what I also like is the fact that you have managed to save before, so it's not a foreign concept to you. But also, you now have a 32-day account that you keep going to, right? Number one, what you need to then do is, once you have freed up some cash, start building your emergency fund, right? Start building your what if something happens quickly fund, right? So this will avoid, or this will prohibit you from going to a 32-day account. Guys, it's in the numbers. You're supposed to wait for 32 days before you get your money. So it's not an account that you go to. So every time you go there, you actually get a penalty, right? And the bank is not wrong because their rules and terms and conditions are laid out already. you get a penalty. So you probably pay to get your own money back. So what you then need to do is to build an emergency fund, right? And again, the guidance here is to say, and I've said it before, richest man in Babylon, he says, a part of what you earn is yours to keep. So with your emergency fund from your 25,000, then at least aim to save just 10%. 10% of that 25,000 should go towards your emergency fund, and you build it up so that if anything, and this is an emergency, not just anything, if an emergency happens, you can actually tap into that account and fund the emergency, right? And after emergency fund is now, fully funded, you want between 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses in there, you can start investing. Yeah, so that's essentially what you want to look at, my lady. I hope this was helpful. So, number one, very important to live below your means. So, you must be spending less than you're making, guys. It's a discipline. You need to develop healthy habits with your money. It's your money. Take time to master it. So, live below your means by spending less than you make. Have a full view of what it is that you spend your money on, because in those you'll be able to identify the culprits and actually just trim down on that and free up some cash. And that is through tracking your spending. Number three is you also need to look at identifying or mastering those big three expenses. So that is your rental, your transport, and your groceries. And then also minimize in terms of what you spend on your other needs. Just study what it is that you're spending in and around that area. And then another thing that you need to do is to start building your emergency fund. And eventually you start investing. Again, if please feel free to send me an email here and just teach and grow together. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'll see you in the next one.